kicker, and his real name is Donald De La Haye. And yeah, he's got a great leg. I mean, we watch him on these videos kicking 50, 60-yard field goals, like just on a nice sunny day, right?
Right.
And he'll challenge people. Like he challenged like the #1 high school kicker in the country to a kicking contest, and he beat him. And you'll get people who say, "Why isn't this guy in the NFL?" Well, because he's not good enough, or he would be in the NFL. That's the thing.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. You used to see that all the time. Like what was the one of the video of the guy who went viral because he was able to make trick shots, right? And then didn't the Jets or somebody sign him, the Jets or the Jaguars, and somebody signed him and he lasted about 3 games before they released him?
Yeah, I think it was the Chiefs. And he was a quarterback, and I think even in college he had like a 70% completion percentage. But then you put him in the NFL and he was just absolute garbage.
Yeah, but no, there was a kicker who was making like trick shots. He was kicking them from all different sorts of angles. And I want to say it was the Jets that signed him to an NFL deal. And the guy was never heard from again after that because he could make all sorts of trick shots, but he couldn't kick anything into the wind 30 yards straight downfield. Like it's one of those things where you watch some of these guys out there and great. All right. So this 24-year-old challenged this high school kicker. So this 24-year-old had a stronger leg than a 16-year-old high school kicker. Cool. Congratulations.
But also on the flip side of that coin, that's the #1 kicker in the nation, right? Like he was the #1 kicker in the nation, probably going to get a Division I scholarship to Florida,
what
Texas,
do we say
whatever.
all the time? What do we say all the time about college guys going up against pros, right? They're grown men going up against boys. It'll never work, right? They're bigger, they're stronger. This was a 24-year-old grown man going up against a high school kid.
Well, see, kicking is a different thing. Kicking's all it is all
leg strength,
technique. No, it's
technique.
It is the natural swing of the leg. Yes, some leg strength, like squatting for 400 pounds might help you a little bit, but it is the ability to crank your leg back and kick yourself in the back of the head and whip that leg through. We see 14, 15, 16-year-old professional soccer players all the time, Combs. They're playing up against 30, 40-year-olds. What makes them any stronger or more of a man than a 40-year-old?
Because they're old, they're bigger, they're stronger. There's a lot of leg power involved in that. You know what I want to know? That guy who used to do all the trick shots. I can't even remember what the hell his name was.
You totally just skimmed over the conversation there, Combs. There's 14, 15, 16-year-old professional soccer players playing up against 40-year-olds. What's the difference between a 24-year-old kicker going up a 16-year-old kicker?
First of all,
there is no difference.
Kicking a soccer ball and running past a 40-year-old man at 16. That's not impressive either. You're 16. You better be able to outrun my old ass. You better.
But they're both professional soccer players.
You're kicking the soccer ball from what, 20, 30 feet out to try to get it in the net, and you've got a team full of guys, and you're trying to beat a goalie. Kicking a field goal is you're going up against the goalposts, and you've got to kick the ball far and kick it in between the goalposts. And there's not a whole lot of strategy to it, right?
So you're saying soccer's easier than kicking a field goal?
That's not what I'm saying at all.
Then what are you saying? What are you saying then?
I'm saying you have two totally different scenarios there.
How is it a different scenario? You have a 16-year-old going against a 30-year-old playing a professional sport for money, for millions of dollars, kicking it. What, there's 11 players on a soccer team, right?
Yes.
Versus a clear sunny day, the wind at your back. There's no pressure. A 16-year-old versus a 20-year-old kicking a ball. No difference, Combs.
Yes, there is a big difference. What are you talking, Wayne? Please tell me I'm not out of my mind here. Like, Buck is crazy here, right?
Well, so I mean, Buck's right about you being wrong here on this one because of the fact that he is right about a 16-year-old against a 30-year-old in the heat of competition versus a 16-year-old versus a 30-year-old on a sunny day in shorts and a t-shirt, and you're saying no, it's different. Well, is it? What are you saying? Are you saying that it's easier?
This is why I vote for Jesse.
Anyway, but what I would say to Buck though is that those 16-year-old players usually aren't very good and they don't play a lot unless they're in the MLS, and then they get like a minute or two of playing time, right. And they're playing against 30, 40-yeard guys who also aren't good enough to play over in Europe, and so they're kind of all in the same thing. But again, that's where Brandon would be right, is that technically those 30-year-olds would be able to roll those 16-year-olds, except soccer, you're not allowed to knock people over like that. So where I think Buck's right, going back to him, is that it's a non-contact in both situations. You've got a man versus a boy in both situations. It's the same, Combs.
But all right, so if you're kicking a ball, if you're trying to kick a field goal from 30 or 40 yards out, doesn't the 24-year-old with the stronger leg who works out and does this for a living have a better shot than the 16-year-old who does it in high school and who's not as developed as the 24-year-old?
Well, not the 16-year-old also works out and kind of does it for a living. I mean, he's going to college on a scholarship.
But sure, he does it for a living too. But you're just more developed. Your muscles are stronger at 24 than they are at 16.
I would say the 16-year-old has
debatable.
more.
And then second of all, when you're in soccer, sure, if a 16-year-old scores a goal over a 30-year-old, sure, how was the pass put to him? Was he able to beat the defense? Like what? There's so many different nuances that go into it between soccer and kicking a damn field goal.
No, I think what Buck was saying is that the 16-year-old shouldn't be able to compete with those 30-year-olds, and they can.
Correct.
I just think it's a different game. There's a lot of standing around in soccer.
No. Have you ever really watched a soccer game, Combs? There is I think I remember seeing a stat where
I watched
at one point
3
they
days
run
ago.
like
Guess what? 3 days later,
miles.
it's still nothing to nothing.
Yeah, but
there's a lot of standing around in hockey too. They just don't move at all.
Yeah,
I will fight you until you bleed.